What is going on, YouTubers? Welcome to another video. So today I am going to be reiterating a few things because it seems like a lot of people don't search the channel and they always ask certain questions. So I wanted to go over those real quickly for those of you who are just simply too lazy to search my channel. First thing is statue maintenance. Everyone asks, how do you maintain your statues, dust, yada, yada, yada. So you do need to dust your statues. You absolutely cannot just leave them as is. I don't care how many air purifiers you have, where you live, you need to, maintain these things. I still can't believe Dr. Mike hasn't dusted his statues. That guy's crazy. Spending hundreds of thousands of dollars and then not even taking care of it. It's like Jupiter's freaking cock. You gotta take care of these things. They're very expensive. So I dust it with this bad boy. Got it off Amazon, but it's basically an air duster. It has two settings. It uses this knob, and I usually dust about anywhere from a foot away usually. Now, certain things I also like to use an actual, like typical duster. For example, like my alien heads or like this, I'll just dust that. But other things that are like super intricate, you obviously can't use like one of those dusters in certain areas. So using an air duster is very quick and easy. It still takes me about 4 hours to dust my cave, and I dust every 6 weeks. So other things that I do dust a little bit more often are my silicones. So for example, this Alita bust, I don't use an air duster on this because it messes up the hair, but it comes with one of these fancy little brushes. So you simply will dust it like this, basically removing any dust, especially on silicone. You need to dust these bad boys. It's very important. So you got to take care of your freaking statues. So dusting is very important. You got to do it. It sucks. Also be very careful when dusting. You can break your statues, especially if you're using that duster, which is quite powerful. Make sure if it has, if it's something that comes off very easily or it's weak, you remove that part before dusting. So take note of what is like that. I also use museum putty to secure things so they don't move around. For example, these are quite secure. Now, they're not moving because I used museum putty, so when I'm dusting, they don't just fly off. Like even these little leaves, I use museum putty to put those all there, so they're not going to blow away when I dust this piece. So you do need to secure your things when they are very fragile. When I dust him, I remove that fairy on his hand because that one will fall off and I do not want it to break. So I remove it, then I dust it. So, you gotta know your statues like the back of your hand, what is fragile and what not. So that's the first thing regarding dusting. It's very important. You gotta do it and be very careful when you're doing it, because the last thing you want to do is break your freaking statue while trying to, in essence, take care of it. So just be very careful. And I plan to dust this weekend, actually. Second thing people always ask on the channel is, where do you get your shelves? People ask it every single video nearly. Now, I have made a dedicated video on this. You can search Flankster garage shelves, and I go step by step basically on how to build these. But more or less, this is a muscle rack. There's also an Edsel. There's a few different brands, but they're kind of all the same. But it's basically a garage shelf, and Walmart is the cheapest place to get this. Now, I don't do it in person. I do it online. And in my initial video, I do put links. But technically, it's just a muscle rack, or Edsel, E-D-S-A-L, if I'm pronouncing that right, garage shelf. And one, let's just call it $100 garage shelf, equates to 2 of these. Because technically, you can stack them and it becomes 72 inches tall. But it creates 2 shelves. Comes with 5 pieces of wood, 8 of these metal bars that are basically 3 feet tall. So you can fit, in essence, 33 inches worth of statues after you equate for that and that. If you want to go even more height, you can technically just place them on the ground or even put the wood on the ground, then the shelf over it. And then you gain an extra 2 inches. So I've done that for some taller statues, like in my Lord of the Rings room. And then on the wood, I basically cover it with black curtains. I get them from Walmart as well, or Amazon. I cut them, I tape them to it, I install lighting, I plug the lighting. Alexa, turn on home theater statue lights. If you see, I have lighting taped, and then I just run it through right here. You can see, you can see the black cloth. Alexa, shut up. You can see the black cloth right there. It's taped. But the black cloth just looks better. And then I use black painter's tape to cover the holes. I don't want to see those. They're ugly looking. But I do all of this, because I like the look of this shelf. I think it looks good. Now, these hold 800 pounds per shelf, so you don't have to worry about the shelf collapsing. Now, when you have like D12s, Bestas, Stuvas, I was always kind of worried the shelf could potentially collapse, especially on like PAX units. The shelf would start to like bend in the middle, and I hated that. And Bestas were very limited. You can only fit like 2 feet by 2 feet. And I didn't like that because a lot of the statues are getting bigger and bigger. So to accommodate for that, I changed my entire shelving to garage shelving. So I highly recommend garage shelves. If you want more, you can double stack these. You can make the shelves adjustable. So they really are customizable. Plus having that 2-foot depth is really nice. And there's lots of different garage shelves. I have 2 feet deep. I have 18 inches deep. And there's lots of varieties. So garage shelves, customize is the way to go. It's much cheaper than any other option. Custom shelving is nice, but if you ever move, you can't take those with you. If I move, I can take these with me. And I can customize and change them at any point. You can't really just customize and change a custom shelving. Once it's there, it's there. You'd have to pay a professional to add anything to it or to take away from it, which is such a pain. So that's why I would not do that. I like garage shelves. I think it's the best option. So that is another thing. And people ask where I get my lighting. I usually just get from Amazon. One light I really like is, where this is at. It's so bright. And this was like $20, but it's basically 6 lights that are connected. Very bright. I'm actually going to probably remove 2 of them, put one here to distribute the lighting better, just because that really stands out. So I'm going to remove 2 of the lights and put it on Fawn and her, so it just looks a little bit better spread out. But people always ask where you get that. Another one people always ask is, where do you get your statues? I get asked that constantly. So you can buy statues from many places. And I have links in the description below to a few different websites I do use. Sideshow is a great distributor of almost every statue brand out there. Granted, they do charge tax, so I avoid them if I can. There's retailers you can use like Spec and Big Bad Toy Store, and a few others. So retailers are great to use as well. And, Prime One Studios website. So links are in the description below. But then you'll ask, well, that is for, pre-orders or statues that are coming out right now. But what about older statues? So older statues, those are a lot harder to find. Because these are limited edition, it is harder to find these, like you're not going to easily find this. To get this exact statue, like that setup, is going to be incredibly difficult. First off, this Pennywise is limited to 45. So there's 45 of these in the world. There's also a bloody variant. I'm not sure the edition size on that, but only 45. So you basically have to find someone out there, one of 45 people in the world, who would be willing to sell this. And you're going to have to pay a very pretty penny to get it. Secondly, that's a Prime 1 half-scale Pennywise base. So you're going to basically have to buy a Prime 1 Pennywise half-scale and then, in essence, do what I did and sell the body, which is hard, and use the base for your bust. That is how you can get that. So, very, very difficult. Going to cost you a lot of money. But at the end of the day, you have the best Pennywise bust in the world. So, that is why I did that. But yeah, a lot of these are going to be very hard to get. But eBay is a place to check, but you do have to be careful of scammers. I would say in general, avoid anyone from China or in general outside of the US. Maybe US and Australia and Europe is probably the 3 okay locations to use. So USA, Australia, and UK. Outside of that, if it's another country, avoid it. Check their feedback history, make sure they've been selling those items, like expensive ones, if they're doing something like that. and make sure they've been on eBay for quite some time. Another place is Facebook. Again, you got to be careful of scammers. They're everywhere, especially right now. But Facebook is a great place to find sold out statues. Join all the different Facebook buy-sell trade groups and ask around. Search for posts of people selling. Lots of people have been selling their statues lately. A lot of them are, old sold out pieces. So it's a great place to buy sold out pieces. So yeah, and you can also just find people that own the statue and offer to buy it up off them. I've had people contact me saying they'll pay me this much money for a statue, and if I'm more interested in that money than the statue, I'll sell it. Now, you guys can always feel free to throw me an offer, but if it's a grail of mine, it better be extremely lucrative for me to up and sell it, if you know what I mean. But always feel free to throw someone an offer if they own the statue, because you never know. Maybe they are considering selling it, or they would be willing to sell it at a particular price. So that's just, I've done that. People have done that to me. So definitely a piece of advice. But, those are probably the three biggest burning questions that people ask, I swear, every freaking video. And I always tell them it's on the channel. So here's just a refresher on those three asked questions constantly on the channel. That is it. Like, comment, subscribe. Have a great day.